Is it live?
And we're live, yeah. It's
Wow.
a 20-second delay between when we actually talk and when the thing actually happens. So, but I got a notification. Like it seems like things are actually happening right now. So yeah, so you're on the internet. Yeah, I have the control panel up and it's up. So yeah, we're
Let's
we're
do
online.
it. How many people are watching?
5 people.
Sick. That's good enough. That's good enough for me.
So it's like what? You, me, your wife, my mom. This is great. This is a great start to.
I promise you, Donnie is not watching us.
I guess so the way this is set up is that we're going to do like a few calls with a few people. We already mentioned like in the description who's going to be first one's going to be Casey. I think the thing that's actually worth kind of doing is maybe we should just talk like first of like where we are right now, because I feel like that could be interesting just in itself. So yeah, so Kirk, where are you calling from right now?
I am in the Lower East Side in my studio apartment with my wonderful wife Donnie, who's working there. If you notice, we've retrofitted our dining table. Donnie, say hi. Right now, it's Randy and 5 people. So we retrofitted our dining table to become a desk. I took that monitor from Samsung, but I'm in LES hunkered down. We're stocked up.
Yeah.
So beyond not getting a haircut overall, I have no real complaints. Yeah.
How long have you ever let your hair grow? Because you normally shave your head like pretty regularly.
I get my haircut every 2 weeks and it's killing me right now. It's killing me. This is the one thing I didn't prepare for. We bought everything except for this. It's killing me. I was like looking up last night. I was like, okay, maybe I can get a clipper and then Donnie can shave my head. But I was like, no, I can't. I'm feeling weirdly appreciated. It's a very small studio apartment, and like sometimes when Donnie and I take calls, one of us might have to go into the bathroom, as we've done a couple times. But I am appreciative of the natural light, and it's just a solid apartment. It's like away from the street. Like, you know, now that I've really spent time in this apartment, I really noticed every detail, and I'm like, you know, not bad. I'm feeling grateful.
That's better than the alternative, right? Like spending like days in there and be like, I don't like this place. I don't like this rug. I don't like this view.
Yeah, so I'm feeling lucky. We might reorganize the whole apartment tomorrow, but we will see. Where are you, Mr. Andy?
So I'm calling from my my parents' house in New Jersey. So I was in Queens, but I decided to escape the city because I was like, this is like what 2 weeks now ago that I was like, I want to like not be in there. And it turns out I was not alone in this decision. There are lots of people who I've been talking to on video call since then who made the same call. So clearly,
lots of people got out of Dodge, got out of the city.
Yeah. So you know, not the first person to be like, I don't want to be part of this rodeo. Yeah. So yeah. Has it been weird in New York? Like, have you actually noticed like a trend?
It's just empty. It's just creepy. Like, I think that's the big thing. And I think if anything now I'm just more acute to this, like the homeless people that used to be in my neighborhood that now that I kind of, they're kind of the only ones left. And that's kind of weird, obviously. Right. But I personally don't find it that, like, I don't find it unsafe or scary or anything like that. I just find it really sad more than anything. And LES, I think, is kind of acute because it's mostly bars. So that was the first thing to get shut down. And I assume like it's a very specific set of people. It's not people who like, there's not a lot of office space in LES, right?
Yeah.
So there aren't a lot of people coming to visit LES because that's kind of where everyone in Manhattan goes to like drink too, right? So like inner borough travel is less and like outer borough travel is less. So it's dead. It's super dead.
Yeah, that's the super sad part, right? It's like the whole like deal in New York, the whole trade is that you get a tiny apartment like your studio in exchange for like all this stuff outside, right? And now it's kind of like the bars are suffering, you're stuck in this tiny studio. Crazy, right?
Yeah. I do see that I've seen more people give the homeless people money and stuff, and I've done it too. Like I think that's like a kind of weird side effect where people are kind of more generous, which is kind of nice. But yeah. I don't feel like, I think when I read the news, like I think the hospitals are getting hit super hard and Brooklyn and Queens are getting hit super hard. I think obviously it'll happen to Manhattan too, but it doesn't feel like that where I live. So I feel lucky. Yeah. What's it like in New Jersey? What are people doing? Are people walking around?
So people like go on like walks and like runs and stuff. Actually, one thing I've been going a lot more runs and things like that just because there's nothing else to do. People have been doing like distant walks or distant run, which basically turns into them just like walking in the streets, which is kind of interesting. Just clearly not safe. Like clearly, like it's like, okay, guys, you got to like figure out what's the bigger risk here.
Yeah.
But the thing that gets really weird is that the grocery stores. So like basically there's like a normal grocery store and then there's like a farmer's market like nearby each other. Like the normal grocery store is just like the normal panic buy, or now normal panic buying, and people trying to buy as much stuff of like toilet paper and stuff like that as possible, which is like not actually that helpful. And there's a farmer's market which I see like feels the same as like a normal grocery store, except it comes from like local farms, and that's been like basically dead inside. And so honestly, I've been going there for food because it's like all fresh stuff that like, you know, like the food supply isn't like affected, right? So it's just like normal life.
I think a very similar thing, like Whole Foods and Trader Joe's are like horrible to be in because the people who shop there are horrible. And like Essex Market is like chill. It's like casual. Like people are just like casually browse. I think there's lots of panic buying for sure. But yeah, don't buy water. Like, like you definitely can get access to water still.
I think the interesting thing for me is that like the whole, so this is like a big suburb. I mean, like you can kind of see just like outside, like it just looks like a normal, just like
look at that,
right?
beautiful.
Yeah.
To have that lack of population density.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's okay. It's just some fresh air. So if there's nothing else I want right now, it's the air and the sun. The whole ideal suburbia is that it's pretty much like one of like kind of this like just like lo-fi like reality where everything's like calm and safe, and so it's kind of interesting. Everyone's kind of adjusting simultaneously. Like I've noticed a lot of people, my mom included, like they'll drive but like wearing like gloves, like so that, sometimes the mask, not as often. Then there's kind of like this, it's kind of this thing where it's like 2/3 of the people are like wearing the gloves, like kind of worried, and then like 1/3 of the people will be like, this isn't anything, and like usually the people who are anything, they're like the oldest people, so it's like, okay, this is like not good.
I would also assume like the information disseminates a lot slower, like locally in a suburb too, right? Like, but also feel like, I don't know, like my parents watch a shit ton of news.
Well, no, so the information goes, actually, so another thing I've realized is that TV is the most terrifying thing. I haven't like really watched like full TV in a long time. So like just seeing it like 24/7, just like how that cycle ramps up. Like this morning, like The View was on TV, like in the kitchen, and I was like, they were like talking about life in the time of quarantine, and like all calling each other remote, and like I was like, oh my god, this machine like just once it goes, it just doesn't stop.
The news is horrible. That's actually the one thing I talked to my parents about, of like, that's the one thing I asked them for 2020 is to watch less TV. I got my mom an iPad and I downloaded the New York Times app, and I'm like, check this once a week. I said, she still won't do it. She's like, turns it on like to kill, like it's to kill time too, right? Like, because they're both retired. My parents are definitely more housebound than your mom, right? So like, but yeah, they're just use it to like, it's smoking a cigarette, right? It's like, oh, so it's very scary, super scary.
After you told me you did that, I told my mom, I was like, look, we're gonna turn the TV off, or the news off rather. The TV I don't care, but like the news, like watch a story, like watch a soap opera, watch the movie or anything, documentary, but do not watch the news every day. It's not worth it. Especially too, because do they watch super local news? It's all like CNN and like, you know, the ABC, whatever the standard like channels are. So it's nothing crazy. But even then, like that, like it's like just so interesting how fast the cycle goes, because it's not like it's like a drip, but the thing is the drip turns into a stream at some point and just turns into like a full faucet running, and that's where it becomes just crazy, because you have it on for like 8 hours. Like, you know, my mom and her boyfriend both retired, so it's like you have it on for 8 hours and just like the same thing over and over again. At some point, like your subconscious is just like freaking out, like, you know, like you can't help it.
Definitely. What does your mom think of this? Like, what is her thoughts?
Like, just gonna,
like in general, like what does she think is happening, and what is she like? Is she doing stuff, and like, does she talk about it with you?
So we went to had to do a bunch of errands yesterday. We went to the bank, the grocery store, other things like that. And as we were driving out of like the house, the driveway, she was like, "Feels like we're in a sci-fi movie right now." It's like, I've never seen anything like this before. Like it feels like a whole like new situation.
That's pretty spot on. It's weird. It's creepy. That's the biggest thing. It's creepy if you're safe, and then if you're unsafe, it's scary, I would say. Right? Like,
I would say like a whole vibe though for like just us as a family has always been one. I mean, that's why I try to bring to marriage. It's just generally one of like stay cheery, but like be paranoid. Like that's generally the MO is like
yeah. The gloves are a good idea. I bought a bunch of gloves too. Like they weren't like the nice. They're like whatever was left. But I was like, yeah, I think I'll wear that for a little bit. I leave the house.
So I guess like I'm curious, like what have you, we do like different calls to different people. I'm curious what you've seen past like week or two when you talk to different people. I guess like for context, like for people who are like watching us don't know, like Kirk and I like do coaching calls in Merit, and we also just like onboard people, stuff like that. So, but we don't like do the call simultaneously. So we talk to like lots of different people. Kirk more on the product and design side, me more on the engineering side. So yeah, I'm curious, like generally what's it been like this past couple of weeks when you talk to people?
I think the top of every call is like dedicated to we're talking about like, where are you? Are you safe? Like, where's your family? Is it weird? Do you have enough growth? So there's like a little, that's stuff we did not talk about 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago. Everyone's calling in from hilarious locations. I'm seeing a lot more babies and cats and dogs, which is nice. I think like there's a kind of beauty of like not talking about it in kind of a way, because like it's kind of a nice reprieve. Like Merit almost as a distraction. It's kind of nice just to be like, oh, how can I work on my portfolio, or like how can I improve this particular skill? So it's kind of nice to do something that's not related to the global event that's happening. But I do think a lot of people are feeling like a wave of layoffs and reduction of force and reduction of wages, and people entering the job market now I think are a little bit more scared, I would say, or worried or anxious, or whatever the right word is there. So I think that's definitely like a bigger uptick. I feel like we're getting a lot more people who are looking to leave, looking to transition, looking to get their first job, more than we were getting like a couple months ago.
Yeah, I'm seeing the same thing. It's also
what about for you?
I would say that like people are definitely like trying to like job transition like they're like accelerating the plans that they already have for themselves like right now. Either because they're forced to because of like the company going through something, which has actually been for me kind of surprisingly fast. Like companies are basically like, we got to cut everything now, which kind of is interesting just from an economic perspective. And then there's people who are like, I see all this stuff about to happen, I'm gonna like just like try to jump ship somewhere like now, or like as soon as possible, then like wait for this to like go down. It's kind of like a cascading failure, right? It's kind of like this thing where like people like something actually happens and everyone thinks something's going to happen and people just like start doing it, and it becomes a self-perpetuating cycle. So I don't know what's going to happen. I also don't really know like how that would affect the actual job market. Like I wish I actually had like thoughts on that, but
I think definitely certain industries are more acute to it, right? Like anything that depends on like office space. Like I don't know what WeWork is doing now, right? Like
I don't know.
Like like
any co-working business.
Any co-working business. I think anything adjacent to hospitality, or alcohol, or like I guess like delivery startups must be doing well. Delivery services must be doing well. I know certain jobs are like hiring. Like Amazon is doing a bunch of temp workers too. Walmart's doing a bunch of temp workers.
I mean, Amazon's hiring 100,000 people, something crazy like that to like do this. Zoom is like skyrocketing in terms of usage. Same as Slack. So it's kind of like, I mean, I guess you really got to ask yourself like what exists in a remote first world and what doesn't. And that's kind of like a thing. And I mean, this could go on for a while, like a genuine, like for a while. So
yeah. I also wondered too, like, I'm really curious, are people actually like watching more Netflix or watching more TV, or are they actually watching less? Because I feel like I was watching more before, I feel. It's really like, this is like kind of like unbundled parts of capitalism for me too, where I'm like, I definitely do still like working. That's like still definitely a big part of my identity, but I definitely don't like miss buying things. Like this, like, I think maybe it's like brought like the doomsday prepper out of me or whatever, where I'm like, I want a compound now. It's like, it's decided. Like that's something that's definitely accelerated like very quickly. I'm like, I don't want to buy things anymore. I want to grow this. That's a weird shift for me. Like I didn't see that one coming.
Like I definitely looked at my like my weekly budgeting. I was like, I'm not gonna buy these clothes. I'm not gonna buy this thing. Like, what's the point? Like, who's gonna see me? I can wear the same sweater forever.
What's the point? I've definitely been like I've been consuming YouTube content, but more on like houses, and then I went through a really bad wormhole of like luxury bunkers. There was a whole thread of like the bunkers in New Zealand that like all the people. I was like, all right, I need to go to bed. I was like, this is the thing to go to bed for sure. But I was like, all
Did
right,
you
so
find,
what if
did
I
you
have,
find Peter Thiel's
I did not,
luxury
no.
bunker?
There's like a Vice documentary about it, but they don't really show it. It's a bad documentary. I do not recommend it. But I think some of the cooler ones are like retrofitted military bunkers from the Cuban Missile Crisis in like the middle of America that have turned into like essentially a residential compound. I'll share that link with you later. But anyways, what I'm saying is my mind is wandering is really what I'm trying to say. My mind is wandering.
Weirdly enough, in like wholesome activities, I learned, so like I basically, before all the stuff went down and you weren't able to go anywhere anymore, I basically signed up for a bunch of the museums to like try to go to like more museum stuff.
Yes.
So great investment. But either way, one thing that's been cool is that all of them have been notifying me that they have a crazy amount of like online resources that always existed, but no one knew about them. So like the Whitney, the MoMA, the Met, like all of them, you can basically like watch, like view the actual art online. But even cooler is like see like them actually doing like they record all their talks and so forth. You can see like the talks about the art and like actual artists talking about how they make their stuff and things like that. So I've been like seeing more of that as my attempt to like try to get my YouTube to like highbrow YouTube instead of just like going too deep.
I think that's great. That's awesome. Is it all free or is it part of the stuff?
It's all free. It's all free.
Oh.
I actually posted in our Slack, for anyone who's listening who's on our Slack, like PS1 when they do a concert series, they're gonna do like a virtual concert series, like starting even earlier than normal. So
that's dope.
Stuff like that's pretty cool.
I think I would imagine too, a lot of like digital event design is kind of happening now, and also a lot of people who made excuses that they couldn't do stuff digitally are like, no, you can if you wanted to.
Still there. The internet hasn't gone away.
A lot of digital conferences. Oh, Casey's here.
I think Casey's here. Casey's a few minutes early, but we can have on. Casey, if you want to join.
Casey, you have to share a video, Casey.
Oh, shoot.
I
jumped the gun. I was like, oh, they're gonna set stuff up, and then like, and then
are you calling in? Are you calling in from an NPR podcast?
I wasn't fully set up. I was like, oh, I'll come in, get set up, say hi, but it's like, oh, this is live.
It's live. It's gonna do it live.
So,
how you doing?
I am chilling and 10 minutes early. This is like the like you show up in a meeting 10 minutes early and you're like, oh, I'm not supposed to be here right now.
No, you're good. You're good.
We back out.
How you doing?
Where
are you calling in from?
Doing good. Calling in from my son's bedroom. Literally adjacent to.
Hey.
Oh wow! Literally
at the crib.
At the crib. Hey.
That's what's up.
Where is your son now?
He is outside in the rest of this house. It's been very fun every morning saying, Daddy's got to go to work. I'm gonna go to the office and I'll see you later. And then I show up an hour later and I gotta go to the bathroom. He's like, I want to play. And it's like, I gotta go back to work. It's a little devastating, but also very adorable.
How many kids?
What's up? One kid, one son. He's 3 and a few months. Okay. Yeah, 3. He's 3.
Damn, that must be a lot. He must be super happy that you're home all the time.
I think it's like a mix of this is great, but also like my wife is like, yeah, you don't know how hard it is to keep a kid out of your room who just wants to play with dad because he knows I'm on the other side of the door. It's like heartbreaking on my end and incredibly frustrating for my wife. So
that's sweet.
But like we grab lunch together, or we try to, as long as I don't have meetings, which is like most days of the week, which has been pretty chill. It's a nice break.
Awesome.
Walk out and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have lunch with my kid and wife and kid family. And then
do you have like an outdoor space or anything like you can go? No.
Nah, we're in like, just a 2-bedroom apartment in Queens.
I'm in a studio in Lower East Side and we have a very small balcony that I've never used up until this time.
Hey.
Now I use it. I think it's meant to be essentially like a smoker's balcony, but I just go outside to listen to the hum of like the air conditioners to keep me calm.
The ambient New York street vibes. Probably pretty quiet though, I bet, relatively speaking nowadays.
Yes, and the thing is, like my room faces like not the street level, so it's always been pretty quiet. But now it's obviously very quiet. And during the day in LES is pretty chill. It's more nighttime is when it gets rowdy. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm calling from Jersey, where it's just it's kind of hard for me to like move this stuff, get everything going on, but it's just a suburb, just grass,
look at
houses,
that.
so forth.
Yeah, you got a lawn, Yeah, I was going for a run
tree.
yesterday. You don't have to dodge people on your run. I bet you're just like, all
No.
right.
just outside, just birds and deers. Yo, actually, there are a lot of deers in this area. Like if I go to like near dusk or dawn, there are just like actual like herds of deer. And deers aren't like dangerous, but I'm more afraid of them being afraid of me and like being like making weird behavior. It's kind of like it's like 30 deer like in a row.
Like, this guy.
Yeah, exactly. Like they like all stare. It's like pretty terrifying. They all like stare at you simultaneously, and you're like, oh, like I gotta like just keep going. Don't pretend like I don't see anything, but it's weird.
Have you know, like I think they were saying that there was like, and this must be fake, might have been fake news. I may be wrong. Where like during the lockdown, like you know, there's way less smog or pollution in China or whatever. And I don't know if that's true or not. But for me personally, I'm definitely spending way less money. So I'm definitely not contributing to the general like machine that is like producing shit beyond going to the grocery store. So it does feel like things are kind of like receding a little bit, right? It's very hilarious.
Yeah, I was looking at my credit card statement. I'm like, like not buying lunch, cooking more. I'm like, oh, okay, interesting.
Maybe you don't need all those things.
Probably, yeah.
Wait, we have like an active chat going on. I just realized this. There's a little control panel, and Niko, Will, and Kevin all stay. What's up?
Sick.
And Gary. So
of course, Gary's in there.
Yeah, they're all watching this. Wait, so like Casey, so you're at Justworks. Justworks is not like a remote company.
We are not a remote company. Actually, like quite the opposite. Yeah.
What's that been like, man?
I mean, it's been interesting because we made the decision, rather the company shut down last Tuesday, I think. So We've been all working from home since the 17th. And it's been an adjustment with like all hands meetings, like 600 people jumping in on a live stream. Slack is popping. I've been on Zoom, like tons of Zoom calls, right? Like I picked up this microphone as a way to rationalize, like I need to improve how I show up on these calls. This is like my contribution to the economy, which is super stupid. I'm just gonna. My wife was like, "What are you gonna do? You're gonna record stuff with Amos? Are you recording a podcast?" Or like, I'm like, "Oh, I don't know. This is super. I didn't think this through." But yeah, no. I mean, it's been good. It's making it work.
Do you feel like you're in more meetings than where you were before?
I think it's about the same. It's about the same. You know, I've
been
trying to be pretty aggressive around like, do we need to meet right now? Can this be an email? Like, do I need to be here? So I've been fortunately like, and also aggressively blocking off like I need to step away, you know, like go for a run, go eat lunch, and balance the time away because there's no commute anymore too, right? So it's just like. Right, like it was bye Amos, and then boop, I'm at work. Like there was no like 30-minute train ride to like kind of adjust and transition. It's just like okay.
You don't do like a lap around your apartment. You're like, I'm going. Bye, see you.
Yeah, like go like walk outside. You know, one thing I do is I do get dressed though, and like yesterday was the first day I worked in sweatpants, and I was like, nah, this doesn't feel right. Like it's more comfortable, and it's like the rational thing to do. But I think to like really get in the mindset of being like I'm going somewhere and have separate space, you know, in terms of like creating space, like getting dressed for the day has been important.
Have your eating habits changed? Because I feel like I'm eating way more food.
I'm eating. Really? I feel like I'm in the minority of like
healthier food.
I'm healthier, eating less and exercising more than I was before.
Yes,
I'm on your side, Casey. I've been eating so much healthier because I have to cook all my food, and once you like cook the food, like I feel like you have to be like, all right, like I obviously can't add that to this. Like it's like, you know, you're the actual like, you know, provider of your own sustenance. You gotta like think about what you're putting in there.
Yeah.
So like Kirk, why are you eating more? Like what are you just snacking all the time, or like what's the?
I think it's a bit of snacking. I think like I have like I used to have a smoothie and I have cereal, and we always do lunch, like a sandwich or something or leftovers, and we cook every night. But I think I'm more snacking in like the lunch to dinner time, which I did not do when we were like working together in like in Samsung. But I'm definitely also not drinking any coffee or alcohol, which is kind of wild. So that's also adding to my life probably to some degree. And it's also like inverting some habits. Like I think now I might have a coffee like as a treat on the weekends, like but not to work. Like I don't need it to work anymore, which is kind of weird. Also the days kind of feel a little bit. I think maybe the snack is like a way to break up the day. That's probably what it is too. But I am definitely feeling healthier, so I feel lucky.
Yeah, I realized like how much when I'm more mindful of being like I'm turning to sugar right now after like 3 hours of Zoom calls where I'm crashing. I want to pick me up instead of just being like a little more mindless about it. And then I also realized I'm like, do I really want a sandwich for lunch again? I'm like, no. And then I think thinking
bought
through
4 pounds of turkey breast.
4 pounds.
Eating it. Yeah, I fucked up because I was like, yeah, and I just nodded to the butcher and I was like, oh, okay, 4 pounds. And we've been eating turkey. We've been eating turkey breasts the whole sometimes we double up on the meals.
Double up on it.
Double up.
Well, I realized like how much I've been bored. Where I'm just like I'm
solving.
It's a boredom thing. I'm not like hungry. I'm just bored, and I'm like, oh well, I just need to eat, and then just get over like okay, eat the sandwich, move on with life.
Have you like done anything to like new to like fill the time?
No, not really. Like I think.
Oh, you got a kid, so like the kid will fill the time.
The kid will fill the time.
That's like
the kid fill the time.
Is it? Do you spend more? I know your son wants to spend more time with you, but do you spend more time with your kids, which must be great.
I think it's yeah. Like like dinner. It's like right, like magically appear right there. It's like hang out with him. Or like I think giving him a hug in between, like I got to run to the bathroom.
Aww.
He like runs up and is like, and he's like, I want to play. And I'm like, no, I gotta go bye. Which is
that's so adorable.
Which is cool. So instead of seeing like coworkers and colleagues and stuff, it's more just
what does your wife think about you being home all the time?
I think it secretly drives her nuts. Like she's just like, oh, like this would be so much easier if you were not here.
Get in the way, Casey.
But it's like it's a mixed bag, right? Like there's upside and downside. It's like it's cool to be around sooner and for things, but it's also a little distracting. So, but overall good. All right, this is when I actually should have showed up. So I can also like leave 10 minutes early and then dip into the chat after this.
No, we got time. So
we got time.
Yeah. I guess like what do you like this more? Or do you like this less? Like if you actually had time to like set up your full NPR studio, like all that kind of stuff, like would you want more of this or less of this?
I like the portfolio of, I think I lean more towards liking this. Although I think this is changing week to week. Like last week I was like, this is great. I realized how draining an office can be, for me, where I'm just like super tired because like people are moving around, you're just super distracted. And at home, I'm just like locked in. And like I've been more energized, but also this week it's like, like I'm kind of annoyed, a little bit bummed, not being able to like exercise as much or just be able to move around. Changes and stuff. So like, I don't know. I think I like getting 1 or 2 days of interaction in office, but I think my default state is this.
Yeah, that's cool.
Or rather, my resting state, like preferred state. Right. Yeah.
Do you think like that answer changed, like having kids, having a son? Like, would your answer been different? Like, if you didn't have Amos?
Oh yeah. So would I don't know. I think I was always kind of like, I like small groups, kind of a limited interaction. Like I want some, but not like I was talking to the other product folks on the team and they're like, I miss my team. I get energy from them. I'm like, that ain't me. Yeah. Like, that's not me. This is like, I'm like, I don't miss anyone. This is actually really great. No one's bugging me for stuff.
I don't miss anyone.
I can ignore email. We have like our stand-ups and stuff. But I didn't have that. I'm not one drawing energy from the team and like seeing people day to day, right? That's actually kind of like, it's the opposite dynamic where I'm like being drained through social interaction. And it was just interesting to hear. I'm just like, I'm just the weirdo introvert, hardcore introvert. That's just like, no, this is great in some ways.
Yeah, true. I think it's also like just the choice, right? Being able to choose. That's like the huge thing. I think like, it's hard to give an honest answer too, because like this is all being forced on everyone, right? Like we're not choosing to opt into this mode, right? Like
yeah, it's been interesting. I saw like a post around like how to facilitate like a breakout design workshop, and it's like because we have to figure it out. Like people are figuring it out, and it's like all this stuff where you're working it out. And I think it used to feel really overwhelming, and it's like, this ain't changing. We are not going to be showing up in person.
Yeah. Has
much changed for you guys? Like now working, because you guys are super tight, and having seen you work, and now you're like being disconnected a little bit. How have things changed for you guys?
I feel like, since it's just the two of us, it's like most of the value of us working in person is just like the motivational aspect.
Yeah.
But, like, it's nice to have like, team show and like high five, like let's do this today, like celebrate the wins in person. So I feel like we're trying to figure out ways to like have more of that. Like honestly, like this, even doing this like interaction is just kind of like our way of like,
it's kind of doing that.
Because this is kind of always in our energy. It's just like we like just like shooting the shit with people, and that's always been like just kind of like our MO.
I think this whole like experience, I don't think honestly day to day it's really changed, because we batch our meetings, we do a lot of them over video anyways, and then we mostly just kind of go heads down work in the afternoon. So like that hasn't changed. I miss having a real workspace, and I've kind of retrofitted this, but I do think like before people used to be like, oh, like it's hard to brainstorm or it's hard to like collaborate digitally. And I don't think that's actually true. I think there's just a different way to do it, and there's different fidelities. The tools have gotten a lot better, but I do think it's really hard to replace the in-person like camaraderie or the social interactions or just the energy you get out of being around other human beings. And I miss that at work, and I miss that like socially too. Like that's like a huge like thing that's affecting me now. So day to day, it's also we're only two people, right? So it's like it's kind of very easy to resolve things because it's just one other person.
To our own credit, also, Kirk and I are super anal about writing everything down.
We do write stuff down.
We have like one epic Notion that like has basically the whole company exists within Notion, like a Notion board, or a series of Notion boards. And if we weren't like that, if we were more just kind of like ad hoc talking, I don't think it would be much easier for us.
It'd be much harder to do.
Like Kirk's wife, like they're not very like written stuff down, so it's like they're trying to make it a harder transition.
She works at L'Oreal, Donna, my wife, and it's essentially like an oral culture. Like people just do everything in person and in a meeting. So like I don't know how well they're doing with this transition, because I'm sure it's like culturally, like the people they hire and retain and they like that. But like the big selling point of that working at the company. So to all go into like Microsoft Teams now, they're like, I don't know, this is what I signed up for.
I guess like Casey, is Justworks more like an oral culture, or is it more written stuff down? Since you are a tech company, but you like all worked in New York City.
Yeah, it changed. I think it used to be when I started, right? So I joined the company like 5 years ago, and I think it was a lot more written. And I think there was like no laptops in meetings, like piles of notepads everywhere. And the expectations and the cultural norms were easier to enforce. And then, right, like a bunch of people get hired, we're like closer to 600 now. And like at some point that kind of dropped away, or it became more oral, because it's just like you let things drop unless you have like the discipline or someone kind of enforcing that, being like, hey, we're going to this is what we want. And it's like the, entropy sets in, and it's just like, all right, we're going to do the thing that's the easiest to do, which is just like, the oral. Some stuff gets written down. And I think it varies team by team, person by person too. But
that's very interesting. I thought it would have gone the other way. Like I would think like a loser startup would be like, they don't document stuff. Like I thought we were weird in the fact that we write things down. And it would be mostly in person with a small group. And then as you get bigger, you can't do that. So you have to document stuff down. But it actually went the other way for Justworks.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that like stuff doesn't get written down. I don't know. Other people might feel different.
But there's definitely way more meetings. There's no escaping that, right? Yeah.
Yep.
That's a function of people usually.
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
Yep. And like the number of things that could go wrong, or like people whose daily workflows you can mess up. So it's just like the coordination costs go up, right?
Yeah. Is there anything you would recommend people now that we're going through this weird ass transition, like any small ritual or habit or anything else that you've done personally that you'd recommend to other people, just to either make things more productive, more pleasant, easier, not boring?
Yeah, I've been liking like just walking away. I just need to get right here. I'm not available for a half hour, go for a run, get some like be distant and like safe. But that's been good. I think for Zoom calls too, right? Like instead of normally I'm like, let's get into it and like be super hard ass about agenda and like diving in and not wasting time, but right, like we don't have these outlets anymore to just kind of like shoot the shit. And so like
small talks on the agenda.
Right, for the first 5 minutes, not being like, yo, let's get this thing started, but instead just like letting folks catch up and kind of letting it drift a little bit has been good. Getting dressed has legit been like, like I know I could roll in like sweatpants or even why wear pants at all? And,
why wear pants? Who says I'm wearing pants even right now?
But getting in the right mindset of like, hey, I'm going somewhere else. I'm going to do something, because it's like been rough. Where every day this week I'm like, what day is it? Like, is it Thursday? Monday, Tuesday?
Seriously.
Like, what happened yesterday? I'm like, I don't remember. And like, to the point around rituals, like knowing this is Friday, and I'm like, cool, like this is an end of the week thing is good, because now it's you have something you can anchor your time around, whereas like we've just lost that without having the commute or like these rituals in place in the day-to-day. So I've been brewing coffee in the morning. That's like big pot of coffee, sit down, and try to protect those.
Cool. Nice. I like it. Yeah, the just having to wear pants, for me, wearing the pants is the biggest, like, all right, I'm in work mode now. These are work pants.
Underestimated,
or rather undervalued.
Donnie hosted yesterday a Zoom birthday party for her brother, my brother-in-law, and
That's
it
awesome.
was
Nice.
it was very cool, because it was like Donnie's sister and her husband and her mom and dad, and then Enric and Shobi, and it was like 4 of us on a Zoom call, and Donnie made like a PowerPoint deck, like essentially of like, here are all the messages of everyone, which is super sweet.
That's awesome.
And there are baby photo shoots here right now. She's great. And everyone decorated rooms. It was genuinely adorable. But I was like, this is the best birthday party I've been to in a long time, because it was all under an hour, and like there was the little trivia, like everything happened. Everyone was like super meaningful. Everyone gave full attention, and it just ended. And I was like, that was a genius idea. This is like this is better than the thing we would have done. It's like way more thoughtful. People like that. People have more time definitely to like do stuff like this, which is nice. And it's like Debbie was talking about how like, oh, there's just like one thing I have to do today. Like that's like the one thing I have to look forward to. There's not like all the cascading plans. So I like the digital versions of like the things we used to do, like the things we could have done. So like, the digital coffees, the digital lunches are good.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's like just being normal. Like I remember when like AOL came around and you're like DMing people online, and it's like, oh, that's kind of weird. And then like unlimited texting comes in, and that just becomes normal. And no one thinks twice of it today. Same with like this sort of thing, where it's just like, we had FaceTime, or we've had like Zoom calls and video calls, but like these bigger social gatherings around like doing yoga classes or kind of like just kicking it on like a group chat. I wonder how much of this actually sticks around after, and it's like, actually this is pretty chill. I didn't have to like deal with going outside. Like I have a great liquor cabinet or whatever and stuff I like to keep at home. And
I feel like I'm reaching out more to people that aren't in New York.
Yeah.
I don't know if you feel the same way, but like I feel like now, Katie will be on this eventually, was talked about like now all friendships are like remote friendships, right? And we used to have remote friendships too, or remote relationships. But it's kind of equalizing a lot of things too, right? Like my friend in the Philippines and my friend in West Village, it's the same amount of physical contact. So they're going to get the same thing, right? So everyone kind of is equalized a little bit, right? It's kind of interesting. So yeah, I'm definitely I'm obviously spending more time talking to people on like chat apps, and definitely way more video calls all day, every day. But they're fun. They're nice.
Team, we have a surprise guest who's going to join the podcast in 1 second.
Oh, snap.
I hope it's not Gary.
No, we love Gary, but it's not Gary.
Who's joining?
Yeah, let's see.
Can I get some water while we do this?
Yeah, you can get some water.
I want water.
Casey, I love how NPR set up the mic and the headphones are. It's truly impressive.
Yeah, I know I sent you a photo here.
Oh, you got the
we got the cowboy hat. I brought props. Hold on. Let's like. The problem is the headphones don't fit over the hat.
What's going on?
Oh, Kevin, what
representing?
Oh my God!
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can.
I pulled out the podcast mic.
Yeah, you sound so professional.
I've got Casey's mic.
Nice.
Wait, but you sound so much better than I do.
You have to talk into the logo that says blue.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
I gotta hit up Kevin. Wait, you got it. How do you have it set up? Oh, interesting. I have it set up all wrong.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, wow.
We did it.
This is. Oh, I've been talking into the wrong side.
That's the only reason. That's the only reason I'm here. That's the only reason I'm here.
So for whoever's
Sunset
watching
Park.
doesn't know, so Kevin Huen is our friend who he runs People & Co. And Kevin, what is People & Co? Oh, can you
Here we
hear
go. Oh yeah. Sorry, I was also listening to like the YouTube audio and I was extremely confused. But now I'm here.
me?
I'm present.
Yeah, this
I
is
think
the delay between.
20-second time delay.
Oh, got it. Got it. It's so good to see your faces through this computer screen.
I know.
Damn.
How you
It's been a
doing?
minute.
How you holding up?
I'm good. Am I able to like show you what? Well, there's a giant puzzle.
Show us the setup.
There's a giant puzzle next to me. There's
Hey.
Yoko, my fiance.
Hey,
Yoko.
Oh.
This area is where I stretch 40% of the day.
Nice.
I bought a pull-up bar that we're also hanging
Wow.
clothes
Full
on
prison
because we
workout.
started hand washing.
Wow.
I saw
Get
the
into that.
I saw the book. I saw the book on the bookshelf up there. Like there's
Oh
like
yeah,
one.
yeah. I mean, there are like 6 copies. It's my library. My library full of the one book I wrote.
Where,
It's a very narcissistic library. It's like the only books I have here are the ones I've written.
Would you like to borrow a book?
where
I
where
have one
you where
choice.
you calling in from, Kevin, for the 7 people streaming into this?
Calling in from Sunset Park, Brooklyn, about 3 miles south of the Barclays Center.
How is Sunset Park in this new world?
Sunset Park is like, I live on a pretty busy avenue. I live on 5th Avenue, which is probably like the busier one. And this is the avenue where you would find like grocery stores. I don't know if you can hear it, but the ice cream truck still comes by because apparently that's takeout, an essential service. What's
Nice.
up? I don't know. The neighborhood is quieter because a lot of the businesses are shut down.
Yeah.
But people are, still walking and doing their thing. And overall, like it's a weird dichotomy where it's both like sunny and nice. And I like love the neighborhood, but I'm also like worried about the neighborhood hurting. Like I'm hurt by the neighborhood hurting. I just think about, these various like establishments we go to, that cafe that was just getting started that we really like. That's like, yo, those doors are shut. And we don't know if they're going to open again. And that's just sad.
Yeah.
Yes.
LES is very similar where like I go to a lot of those places and I know a lot of the people who work there and like the owners and stuff. And I'm super worried about all that. Yeah. It's sad. It's really sad. Yeah.
Yeah. And we're like, so every morning Yoko and I wake up. So we shifted our hours. We wake up at like 6-ish and then go for a run. Based on when like not a lot of people are awake, and we go down the industrial area, like towards the water. And it's like quiet, but there's also like a hospital over there. And I just can't help but think like, it's like that hospital is probably chaos and probably like hectic as hell. And then, a couple blocks away, I'm just like trying to figure out how to continue my, daily routine in like a quiet way and stay at home. And it's, I don't know, there's like, I feel like they're just these weird sort of, buckets of experiences that are happening right now. And they like a lot of them look the same inside the bucket and then like drastically different outside of it.
100%. And I think it's kind of converging to like 2 groups too, where it's like the people isolating and then the people dealing with the actual virus, right? Like that's kind of where we're at right now. And I'm actually trying to find ways of like, how can I help the other group? Because like, I'm obviously not a fucking doctor and I don't think I should go and do that, but there's other ways to help. So I'm actually like exploring those options now too. That's a better way to fight the boredom, I feel.
My mom works in she's like a director of infection control for hospital in Colorado, and she's working 7 days a week. Like 6 a.m. to 9 p.m., 10 p.m. every day.
How is she doing?
She still like greets me in an upbeat way, which I'm just like, wow, you are like a solid human. I hope to develop such like, I don't know, resilience and bravery. She's doing well. I think she's like what she was talking about was how this is almost like the thing that they've been preparing for. Like, and I think she's taken her job really seriously, and she's been in this like position for like 5 years or so. And she started her career around SARS and went through like Ebola. And this is another level. And she's like, we wouldn't be able to handle what we're currently handling without all of like the work that we've been doing until now.
That's so
but
That's
it's
cool.
still like,
Yeah.
it's like a heavy stress test, and it's like maybe the start. But yeah, she's she's just like doing her duty, and continues to show up.
all credit to her. All credit to her.
Yeah, I mean, I just started like FaceTiming more often just to like check in, and I don't know, as far as like a small thing I can do, I realized like, oh, she probably appreciates like, hearing from me in the morning if she's like getting ready for work at her 5:30 a.m., my 7:30, that sort of thing. This ice cream truck is still just like going for it outdoors. I'm glad in a way. I'm glad.
They're an essential business.
Yes.
That's amazing, Kevin. That's like, I feel it too. It's like very disconnected too, right? I kind of avoid the news sometimes to kind of stay in the bubble to be a little bit calm, but then I'm like, I have to actually get out of it to go actually help and contribute. So
yeah. Today's new rule is I'm just going to try to, whenever I'm reading the news, I should be stretching. Like, I just can't like sit there and take it. And I've like, that's like the one sort of like hobby I've continued to overinvest in while like on, during quarantine. It's just stretching all the time. Those tight hamstrings have no excuses anymore.
Wow,
you'll be proud. I started using this service called Allo Moves, and they have a 28-day intro to yoga. So I've been yogaing every day. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm actually doing a little bit more faster than normal. I've been doing a couple of things per day because, like, got nothing else to get those tight hamstrings out.
Yeah. I can't wait to.
Feeling it.
Maybe back when we're out of quarantine, we can do one of those stretches where we like put our feet together and then we like grab each other's hands and like go back and forth or something. A little like rowboat.
we could try. I would also settle for just going to yoga class together. That could work too.
Yeah.
I would settle just to see you in person again.
Yeah. I'd settle for a drink and then
high fives and hugs will be like kind of a nice vibe when we get back to it.
Yeah.
The lack of like physical touch for a lot of people is huge too, I imagine, right? Like that's like a huge thing that was provided that is now known too. Do y'all watch the Como briefings?
I've been watching them, not even because I want to, but because apparently every time I eat like lunch or guess brunch, he just happens to be on. So it's like I just see them by like default, and I actually like them a lot. Like I feel like he starts strong with like the data, then he gives like the action plan, and then he like ends with like a nice like moral support. He's like, this is a time for fortitude. And you're like, let's do this. So I'm pro Cuomo right now. Who knew I would say that?
Promo. What time do they happen? What time do they happen each day? I watch like clips off the New York Times.
Like 11:30.
Yeah, like around then.
Yeah, I've been seeing the clips too. The CNN stuff with his brother, those clips have been hilarious too.
He's like, I talked to my brother this morning. It's just like, all right, brother, calm down.
It's like family updates happening, but on broadcast television.
I find them really comforting, and I think the one thing I caught today was like they're staffing up a bunch of people for mental health services too, like volunteers coming out, so they have like a hotline. I think that's great because to your point, like it is all, whatever level of exposure you are to it, it's all going to be some form of trauma that you will have to process later on. Right now we're kind of living through it, but from like the healthcare workers to the small businesses and the workers to like people forced to being remote, which is like the most privileged of all of those scenarios, right? But everyone's kind of going through it together. So I thought that was like a little nugget where I was like, oh, this is great. Like, I'm really glad we're doing that. It's also like all the things where I'm like, I wish we did this before before a pandemic happened. And that just seemed like a good idea to do no matter what.
Kevin, I want to ask you, so like your whole you're an expert in community building and like all that stuff. Like, I'm curious of what you've seen with people just trying to figure this out, like trying to find space.
Yeah, good question. I've been trying to like hold back on talking about it a bit because I think there are some like, I think there's a wave of like hot takes going out. It's just like immediately there are people like, this is what you need to do in virtual, like,
remote work is forever.
Remote work. top 10 tips, this and that. And then like, as well as, you know, folks immediately coming with their like ideas around, you know, mutual aid or collaborating on like, you know, building hardware, creating masks and that sort of thing. I don't know yet. I think in short, I think we're, I think there's some interesting things on like neighborhood level that, at least as far as like the level of need goes and like who we can impact, there's a lot of, I think there are groups that are like springing up because of that. And then a lot of like the independent community leaders that I work with that were running like in-person meetups across New York City that, you know, aren't as, you know, locally focused. I think they're really rethinking like what is their role like right now and kind of like short-term and long-term. So yeah, I don't know. I think there's the only kind of my only like North Star right now is I think there's a point of like what's sort of urgent and what's going to happen right now, and then there's like a difference with where I think this was Kai, who's my business partner, who's Canadian. He just keeps saying like, you know, we don't need to skate to where the puck is going. We need to skate to where the puck is going to be. So I think there's some level of like what's really happening right now, and some of it, you know, absolutely necessary, like in response and reaction to certain things. And then there's a point of like, what do our communities look like, and what are the important communities in our lives, and what are the communities that we are like actively trying to build a year or two from now, like based on like kind of what has happened and where we are like individually. So I'm just trying to like observe, and you know, our company, People and Company, is trying to like, we do sort of like coaching and advisory around like how to cultivate authentic communities, and we're trying to figure out like where, you know, what is our role to play, both within like the business landscape as our business, as well as like, you know, around sort of just our mission to help people get people together. So yeah, to be determined.
Yeah, I feel like in talking to people like past couple of weeks, it feels like there's just this big like reevaluation going on. And we were just talking about this Casey earlier, where everyone's just kind of like, do we really need this meeting? Do we really need this event? Do we really need to do it this way? And like, probably part of that will shift a lot of behaviors to be like, this is like kind of craft versus this is actually kind of where the real value of doing this interaction is. Yeah, to be interesting.
Yeah, and I know we defined community building as like communities or groups of people who keep coming together over what they care about. And I think what is happening is like a shift in what people care about too. You know, whether those be like they have dire needs right now that they care about more than that other thing, or their priorities in general or their interests in general are shifting based on like what they can and can't do. And I think that will like change the communities we regularly participate in, as well as the ones that like we want to the ones that we want to start and then like invest more time in like and building something around.
Yeah. Speaking of just figuring out what's important, Kevin, what do you do to fill the extra time besides stretch?
Great questions. What do I do to fill the extra time? Well, there are some things that like I already did. I guess a number of things I already did that I've just like doubled down on. So I already cooked a lot, and it's just now cooking holds in even more like kind of emotional support, like place in my life. And so before, like cooking night was like Tuesday night and probably over the weekend, and then now it's like I almost like hold my groceries so I can have something to cook like every night. So I can like, you know, we can pick up the knife and like use the pan and do that. And then I bought like $100 worth of video games. That's real. Nice. Like, there was a March Madness like PS4 sale, and it was like Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order was like, you know, 20% off. And I was just like, now's the time. we're just gonna do this. So that's like, I don't know. I've like Yoko forwarded me some like article of like an astronaut giving like advice about like living in isolation, and it talked about like having a pretty regimented schedule to ensure that you like do the things that you like will be thankful that you do, including like making time for fun. So it's like I've started to think about how like in the mornings there's this really specific schedule that involves like that I can like go for a short run and then go journal and then make breakfast and then go meditate and then go read the news and then go 10 pull-ups to shake off the news and then like remote work, which is like I'm thankful like that's awesome that like, you know, we're able to do that right now. And then in the evening there's like this stuff, and then just like fun time, which currently is maybe filled with video games or X, Y, or Z.
I like
That's
it.
great.
I like the,
Can you share that article about the astronaut and self
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
isolation? We
Let me
can
go
share
find
that
that.
one out. Yeah. So we should all play more video games. Got it.
surprising lesson, but I'll accept.
Fuck
I
you,
love that
Mom
I'm
and
being
Dad.
enabled.
I was
Yeah.
right.
This is
All
keeping
right,
me
y'all.
healthy.
I got to bounce. I got a little virtual lunch date.
Cool.
Have
But
fun.
it was so good to see
It
y'all.
was great seeing you. Great
Yeah.
seeing you
And
too, Yoko.
Be safe. Take care.
See you, Kevin.
We'll
Thank
talk
you for the
soon.
tips.
Can't wait to.
Bye.
We'll compare how far we can touch our toes later. Goodbye.
Get some ice cream before the day goes.
I got a dip too. Thank
All
you
right.
for hanging. This is fun. I'll see you in the chat.
See you in the chat.
All right. See you guys.
Bye, Casey. This is like a club. People just coming and going.
I know, seriously. I told KT we may need a few minutes, but actually, apparently, we ended right on time.
Right on time. Here we are.
So, I like when you got water. Casey whipped out the cowboy hat.
No.
I was like, wow, we really got the everything going on today. So,
All right. Give me 1 second. I'll be back.
all right. Katie, hey,
Hello.
how's it going? Kirk will be back in 1 second.
Hey.
Whoa, what's going on? How do you have like sparkles or something on your screen right now?
I have the snap camera right now, which is bringing me a small amount of
I have some snap cameras too. You wanna enter the void?
Yeah.
Oh, give me a second.
Well, that's just yellow, Kirk. That's not a camera.
No, this is the best filter. You gotta give me a second.
Yeah.
I'm kind of very partial to this one.
Oh yeah, it matches your outfit.
Yeah, it does. All right, we'll leave this on for a little bit.
Perfect.
I do not have a snap camera. I will keep on normal, so I'll let y'all be.
Well, enjoy your normal scene.
So, Katie, Katie, where are you calling from?
I am at my apartment at my desk. Yep, desk different from the rest of my apartment because I'm trying to compartmentalize all the little areas.
Do you have like a studio or one bedroom, or like how do you section it off?
Yeah, it's a studio and I'm kind of in the corner. Bed is across from me, but I don't look at it, which just look at the wall and the monitor.
You've been freelancing for about a year, 2 years, 3 years? 2 years?
4 years?
1 year? 5 years?
It's been a year and a half now, or something like that.
What's since you've been working a mix of remote and then on site with some of your customers, clients, what's kind of the biggest change since you've already kind of been working remote without an office for a while? What's been the biggest change for you?
I think so. Right before this started, I was working from offices, and so I'm kind of shifting back into remote work, but which was sort of already my plan for my current clients. But I think one of the biggest changes is that now I'm not the only one who's remote. So I'm observing everyone else going through what I've already adjusted to, except under more extreme and traumatic circumstances. And I think also it's just, I think I've had to think about all of the habits that I formed while working from home and really try to continue those and check in with myself more, because it is a lot harder working from home right now, just in terms of staying focused and and not being able to leave my apartment as part of my like daily routine that I would have done otherwise.
Do you find that everyone's kind of going through the same kind of motions that you went through, or is it different from your side now that you're like, X years into it, right? You're in a bit into it.
I think that, I'm definitely observing people having the like, oh, this isn't an ergonomic setup. What can I do to upgrade my space? Or like, how do I compartmentalize my work day from the rest of my life when I'm just like living in a box? And I think I feel like I have had some tips for my friends and colleagues in terms of things that I definitely went through. But I think that going through the motions only gets you so far right now. But it's like the least you can do is like sit on a pillow or raise your monitor or like find a corner that is separate from where you sleep or where you rest. And
it seems like everyone's getting a crash course in like all those basic 101 kind of topics right now, right? Under duress, but still a crash course.
I think one of the biggest themes I've noticed with working remotely that has kind of shifted during this climate too is that like trust is a big theme for remote work. Like managers have to trust that their team is actually working even though they're not watching them all day. And I know like my mom's company has been like recording her screen and she's really freaked out about that. And I feel like the surveillance aspect, I think that some companies who have no idea what remote should be like are like, how do I watch my employees? And they don't really get the transition. But I think it's been a cool trust exercise for everyone else to be forced into this situation. They're like, okay, I can't, like, how do I feel like my team is present with me even though they're remote? And what sort of new communication do we need to have to make sure that work gets done? And it's been cool to see how everyone adjusts to that and gets creative with it, because you're just kind of forced into this situation.
I hope like post all of this, it leads to like maybe less prescription, but more choice for people. Like, I think that's the biggest thing that I'm learning is that everyone turns out is unique or like has very specific preferences. And it'd be cool if workplaces or just labor in general was more adaptable, right? To people can meet them where they are. I also can see a world where like a lot of managers don't have a job after like a year. Just because like it really then reduces your value, right? Like, because you're not, all the things that used to pretend to be like value, right, are kind of removed. And other aspects of the jobs too, like other jobs too, will get removed as well.
I think that one thing that I found as a freelancer or a contractor is that I can get a lot more done in less time in general because I'm removed from a lot of office politics and all the hard conversations and everything that happens during the day, because I think that when you have big teams, a lot of your work day isn't about work. It's about like managing people's emotions and trying to figure out how to work together and more like process and structural things. And since I've been separated from that, I can just do the work, and that's what my day is about. And I think that a lot of people are finding that they just have more time now because they're like, oh, we're not having as many side conversations or like getting up to walk to lunch or there's less like gossip, but you don't really know what's on other people's screens. And I think that it's been surprising for some of my clients to see how much more time they have to work. What do I do with all this time? And there's definitely like pros and cons to that too.
And is it kind of like funny now, because I'm sure you must have gotten some hesitation from certain clients to like work remote, or they kind of wanted you to be on site, and now you're like, joke's on you, Mo. Like, now we're all remote, Mo.
One of my clients right now specifically wanted me to be on site, and now I'm remote. But I think that it was helpful that we had a conversation up front about how I usually work remote. So I don't think that they didn't have stress about like me getting the work done because I had already pitched myself as a remote person to them. So they're like, okay, just do the thing we said you're gonna do.
You're drinking the like I was right, okay?
But it's been endearing to see their team try to figure out how to go through that, like
babies for Zoom.
And just like, what sort of updates they do these like daily updates of like what everyone did, so they can, I think their communication across teams is maybe even getting better and more streamlined, which is interesting to see.
Some silver linings through all this chaos, right? That's kind of nice.
Definitely. I think it's empowering for them to, whether or not people actually want to go back to any sort of remote work. It's kind of like this has been a drill, and now they know they can trust people on this in these circumstances. Necessary.
Totally. A very, very painful way to get here, but I'm trying to get the most out of what we have right now.
Sure.
Katie, what have you done to like have people trust you as a remote person already, like before all this even went down?
I think it's a good question. I think I communicate over Slack and video a lot with clients, especially early on in an engagement, and try to establish a cadence of how we're going to work together, so they know like you can expect stuff from me by end of day or by the end of our work week. And if I need feedback, I will check in with you on Slack. And I think it's all about like getting a rhythm with each individual and each team, because everyone communicates differently. So just kind of like being overly communicative first until you establish that trust and cadence.
And then like kind of normalizing or regulating, like, but like starting with like a default that's like kind of higher than you would, that feels comfortable kind of, right?
And also like on a meta level, communicating about the communication. It's like in on like, is this enough for you? Would you prefer that I just leave comments in Figma, or just like send an update at the end of day, or do you want me to like send you screenshots in Slack? And kind of like, I like to be adaptable to whatever makes sense for the team, so that I can get like feedback that I need quickly. And so it's just like checking in on that and knowing that it's not one size fits all.
Do you think being a freelancer is like kind of really improved like the communication skills, or like the communication toolbox that you, or is it something you're always like very, very good at, or always like naturally came to?
I think it's definitely improved that. I guess I should add on that it's also increased my boundaries. So I'm not always on necessarily. Like I try to be as communicative as possible during the workday so that when I'm done with the day, like I've clocked out, I'm not responding to you outside of these hours. So part of that is also like people can Slack me on my day off, but like I'm probably not going to respond because I'm working with other clients or I'm working on my personal projects. So I think boundaries in remote work, and I think in all of life.
In all of life, right? Like healthy boundaries, yeah. Yeah. I think it's kind of interesting too. Like, do you think like, obviously I don't want to prolong the state that we're in, but like if we're in here longer, if we're continuing to be in this state, do you think people will like have these kind of meta realizations about like, what is my actual relationship to this job or to this work? And then when you take out the office and the gossip and like what's actually kind of left, right? And we all will kind of be quasi freelancers in that respect, right? In terms of the emotionality to the work or the vibrations of it, right? Like you're just at your computer with like what you have to do, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think it requires a lot more discipline and like kind of construction of like imaginary structure around me. Like I'm sitting at my desk. Like I'm in my office.
I'm in my office.
Like this is my week plan. Like what I think that creating structure for myself was something that I also had to do, like transitioning to freelance, because I was very much like, so I just wake up every day and I do work at this spot and I don't have like annual reviews. How do I measure time and what is my like career trajectory? And I think a lot of it is like having to take accountability for that on your own and asking yourself those questions and noticing where you're floundering without structure, and sometimes that's helpful to observe. I'm like, oh, actually now that the boundaries between work and life are more easily blurred when I'm like, especially now, like living from home and working from home. I think that I just lost my train of thought, but
I think it's very like, it's interesting because like when I was younger, like my first job working at Microsoft, like I kind of welcomed a structure because I didn't want to define it or take the time to really think it through. But now that I'm a little bit older, maybe this is just the act of getting older, right? Like I'm pickier about stuff, and like things that didn't matter before now do matter. So there's kind of a nicety or like a sense of comfort of making my own office, right? Like digitally or emotionally or like imaginary office, right?
Yeah.
Because it's my rules and my norms, and like this is like my made up kind of space, right?
Right. I think when your job and your whole world start to blend, then you have to be like thinking about your long-term goals, not just in terms of like your career, but your life. Like,
damn, this is deep, Katie. This is getting deep. I like this.
My client tried to hire me full time, and they were like, "Well, what amount of money would it take for you to work
like,
for us full time?"
There is like, no amount of money.
I'm thinking about, well, because I'm thinking about my life more holistically now. It's like on a high level, like it's not about the money for me. It's about having this sort of balance and flexibility and independence, and like how do I maintain that and kind of keep the bigger picture, and only take on stuff that I feel good about and that fit in with my schedule. So definitely trying to like pay attention to more aspects of my life, which I think has been freeing. And I don't know if people being in their spaces during the workday will kind of open that up and make people think about what really matters to them more, but I hope so.
People definitely got time to ponder. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Do you give yourself like an annual review? It's like, well, Katie, you've exceeded.
I guess like I think I do a little bit of reflection every time I start with a new client, because I find that like some things are easier when I start up again, and also just like reflecting when I do my taxes is maybe like that's quarterly review time.
That's deep. Your taxes is your annual review. That's deep.
Yeah.
Very to the metal.
How much money I made, and like was I okay with my like balance of work this year, and also just I do a mini retro, I guess, in my head at the end of projects, and I'm like, would I want to work on that kind of thing again? Like, was that worth it? And I kind of redefine, maybe I need to make an adjustment to contracts or something, like something that felt uncomfortable, or I kind of make new rules for myself at like the natural endings of
the budgets
and quarters.
Yeah, it seems like in general the theme I'm hearing too is like you've embraced the freelancing lifestyle and trade-offs because it gives you all this space to reflect, or forces you to reflect, and like not just on the work but you're like holistically your whole life. And like the best version of this time is like we all kind of go through that process and really I'm reflecting a lot about like, why did I make so many excuses not to cook, right? It seems like I can cook 3 meals a day every day and there's no issue, like right? There's obviously a time and commute aspect to it. But it is being like, oh, these are all the things that I assumed were defaults, but now I realize are options, right? Like, and certain things come through. But it's also like during a gigantic traumatic event for for the whole world.
Yeah, definitely different. Like I have
it's very different.
Focused.
Yeah.
Sure. Which
feels
like I feel more pressure, I think, being like not on salary, because I'm charging for this hour
per
so I feel like I need to make this up if I'm not operating at full capacity.
I think everyone is operating distracted 100%. I don't think it matters what your salary payment is. Like everyone is quite distracted right now.
Yeah.
Cool. Katie, we went a little bit over than originally anticipated, but thank you for calling in and the sparkles. And also the chat is saying that Kirk's dog filter is freaking them out. So
it's okay. We'll swap it for the next person.
Change your shirt though to match. You're the new.
Yeah, I do actually like the shirt that's like now matching with this, and I would not do half bad as a dog. I feel.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Katie.
Stay safe. Be safe.
You too. Take care.
Bye.
I will be back in 1 second.
Do it. Gary doesn't like fire. Oh, Gary. I need to get my charger. No, we're taking a little break. Someone else is coming. Is it muted? Good question. Nope. Yellow.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hey, yeah, I can hear you.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good.
Thanks for joining.
Where are you calling in from?
So I am calling in from a friend's vacation house near Cape Cod. It's in Massachusetts in this little town called Marion.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
How is it there? What's the vibe? What's the energy like?
It's not bad. So I'm here with 7 other people, which is kind of crazy.
Okay.
There's 7 friends from New York. So everyone like came prepared with their whole remote work setup. So there's like monitors all over the house. The bedrooms are like our little phone booths, and we've like turned the common space in the living room into like a workout studio.
Wow.
So
Wow, you guys have fully done it.
yeah, it kind of feels like summer camp or like the real world or something, but way more boring because everyone's working really hard every day.
Wait, so are these all people? These are all your friends? Like 7 of your friends just got together and did this?
Yeah, so it's my I'm with my boyfriend, and then it's his roommate's family's house. So it's like me and my boyfriend, his roommate and his girlfriend, another couple that we're friends with, and then another friend that they all know. They all went to college together, so it's a big group of old friends.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Y'all making the most of it. A lot it people, if they had a secondary residence, they've all made the getaway.
Yeah,
That I know.
So
it is a bit like Big Brother, like
except everybody's like working and it's kind of boring.
It sounds like, so when did you decide to make the Great Escape?
Yeah, so I was working from home in New York at my apartment in Williamsburg for like a week and a half. I think I started in like the beginning of March working from home, and then we came up here last Monday. So it's almost been 2 weeks here.
Okay. How is it beyond it being boring?
I feel super fortunate that like we're out of the city and we're at this really beautiful place with like a huge backyard and plenty of space to run around and stuff. So like we're kind of near the ocean, so it's a really beautiful setting. We're super lucky.
That's awesome. That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's definitely like nice to have like space if possible, to like not be like cramped up in the tiny apartment. Like I keep telling people that like the whole deal, the trade with New York is that you get a tiny apartment in exchange for like, you know, the entire world. But like once you don't have that, then like, you know, gotta get out. Like
I'll give you a little virtual tour. So I'm in my studio apartment with Donnie, my wife, in LES. And this is the whole apartment. There's Donnie. Hey, Donnie. We've retrofitted that dining table. It's tight. It's a tight space. We pair program together. Program together every day.
Yeah, close quarters.
Close quarters. Very close. Very close.
Yeah, I remember. So I feel like time is moving so fast because like it was probably 3 weeks ago we were supposed to do that event with Women Who Code.
Yeah.
And then basically, so on my end, you had emailed me obviously being like, are we still doing this? Because like obviously things were getting dicey. And then also the other 2 panelists also at the same time, like within like an hour, like of you emailing me, all emailed me as well, being like, are we still doing this? I don't think we should do this.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, I don't think we're doing this. I don't think this is happening at all.
I mean, at that point, it was still like, it wasn't
kind
like
of early
total given that it would be canceled. It was still like maybe like not everything was being canceled yet. So yeah, it's crazy how much has changed in the past couple of weeks though. It's crazy to think that was just 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, like it was everyone was thinking the same thing. It was still 50-50. I think that same week is when I like left. I'm in Jersey right now at my parents' place. Like basically by like that Wednesday, I was like, I need to get out of here. And then like on Thursday morning, I like made my great escape. And now we're all in our weird spaces. Wherever hideout we could find, we're there now.
How is the new remote life been for the company that you work at? Like, how have y'all been handling the transition?
Yeah, it hasn't been too bad, to be honest. I mean, so my company is, we have like 9 people and 6 are full-time and 3 are contracted hourly employees who typically work a full-time week, 40 to 50 hours a week. But a few members of our team are actually based in Boston. Cool. So they typically work out of like a WeWork in Boston, and then a handful of us are in New York. And then we have a contractor in South America, and another contractor in San Francisco. So we're super accustomed to being remote. It's kind of like how our teams operated. So all of our meetings always take place over Zoom, Google Hangouts. So it hasn't been too much of a transition, having to adjust to remote work. I wasn't able to grab my monitor before I escaped New York. So I'm kind of stuck without a monitor. I think I'm going to order one online soon. But yeah, no, other than that, it hasn't been too much of a change in terms of like our communication, pretty much the same.
Yeah. What do you miss from the old life?
From the old life, I guess just like I'm separated from my sister, so I normally live with my sister in New York, so that's been really tough. But yeah, I just miss kind of like being able to go about my life and just normal routine. It's like it's crazy how quickly you can get adjusted to like a new routine. Like now I'm like very used to doing my whole routine here every day, and it's kind of like you're kind of like forgetting what normal life is like back in New York.
Yeah, I do think you get adjusted very, very quickly. Like I think I actually forgot now how long we've been doing this, but it is very, very weird. And I wonder if there's like two waves. There's like the honeymoon kind of phase where you're kind of adjusted to it, and then there's like a second wave that kind of hits a little bit later.
Yeah, that's so funny. I was actually talking to my boyfriend about that the other day. I was like, I use those exact words. I was like, I feel like I'm in the honeymoon phase right now where like things aren't so bad and like I'm adjusting to this. And in a couple of weeks, I'm gonna be like, oh my God, like the panic hits. But so far so good.
But the nice thing though is that you're in, at least with the house, you're still interacting with everyone else. It's just that you all are all kind of isolating together, right? Effectively, right? Like a big family or whatnot. So there's still lots of contact, which is nice.
Yeah. Definitely.
And you have outdoor space, which is nice too. So that's super clutch. Yeah.
What are you even spending the like extra time on now that you don't have to commute? Like your home is your work, and like you can like just everyone's there. Like what do you spend the extra time on?
So, I mean, I'm used to like, usually on my commute, I'll read on the subway, or sometimes I used to take the ferry to work. So I now, instead of like getting on the subway and reading, I just like drink my coffee in a little chair by the window, read for 30 minutes, an hour.
You're describing such like a beautiful like oasis of like, you know, you carved out your own society, you got a little bit of civilization here.
Yeah, but other than that, you know, like reading a lot, working out a lot, you know, I'm sure it's the same as everybody. Like everybody is reading, baking, working out.
Stress eating or cooking, stress working out. Meanwhile, like I'm putting on my latex gloves to go out into LES, and I'm like, I'm like, all right, it's like I Am Legend style where I go. I'm like, all right, is everyone okay today? I do feel also people are like probably. I think is it also like, do you feel like it's more productive than it was before in terms of like there's less like chatter or noise and it's like simplified, or do you think it's kind of expanded a little bit?
Yeah, I think it's kind of, I think I've been really productive since I've been here, but I'm also trying to remember to take the time to like not stress myself out and feel like I need to be super hyper productive all the time. Like I think actually I saw something online the other day that like kind of resonated with me, that somebody had posted that their therapist had actually told them during this. And it was like, stop putting something along the lines of stop putting so much pressure on yourself to be incredibly productive and make the most out of like a global pandemic.
I
think there's been a lot of content out there that has been like encouraging people to take this time as an opportunity and be super productive and throw yourself into your work, and like put energy into self-improvement and stuff like that. But for some people, I think that's great, but because that's how they cope with uncertainty in times like this. But I think for others, that's not true. And if you fall into that group where that's not true, then it's okay to, you know, not throw yourself into your work, and it's okay to feel a little bit scattered or unfocused sometimes. So I've been trying to remind myself of that and not put like undue pressure on myself to be super productive. I mean, we still have like, you know, a product roadmap and deadlines that we want to meet, but you know, I'm trying not to like seize this as like an opportunity to get a ton of work done and be like overly productive. So it's all about a balance, I think, for me.
Yeah, that's real. I do also think that it's kind of like, I don't think necessarily everyone processes it all at the same time too. So this is something that I'm saying too, where like I see like the first wave of freakouts, and then like I see the second wave in like my extended family, and then I can see you can kind of map the stages, right? Of everyone kind of goes through their own version of it. Totally. So I'm like, all right, so like, oh, the family in Boston is like hitting the first wave of they're freaking out a little bit, right? And then they're like, shit, should we leave? And I was like, all right, I was there like 2 weeks ago. So you have to be like, you have to coach them through it, right?
That's so true. Yeah. That, like in the house of people that I'm with, like people are kind of, even in this small house, like people are going through that on different timelines.
Yeah.
And you just have to remember like, okay, this person's freaking out right now. I shouldn't get like frustrated with them.
Yeah.
I need to remember that like I was either there last week or maybe I'll be there next week. And like, we're all going through really similar feelings just at different times.
Yeah. And things like we learn new stuff kind of every day, and like we're hoping that it all kind of gets better, but it's new information. That's super real. Are there like any rituals or any advice or any habits you want to suggest to people to be like, this is something I wasn't doing before, but I'm doing now, and like it brings me a little bit of peace or a little bit of calm, or it distracts me, or it's like it makes me laugh. Like I was spending a lot more time looking up dumb shit on the internet because it's becoming a lot more fun to do now.
I mean, one silver lining of this is like the meme content has been like everybody's just on their computer kind of generating content, which has been awesome. But no, something I've been doing, like a small thing, is I normally when I'm at home, I like try to keep a journal consistently, but I'm not very good at it. But here I've found that it has been helping a ton, just for like a few minutes every day, kind of just like check in with myself, write down like how I'm feeling and like what I want to get done today. And I found that it's just like a good way for me to kind of like check in with myself, reset, and get ready for the day, and kind of like get out any feelings that I, haven't expressed aloud to anybody yet.
That's awesome. That's healthy. I feel like this is all forcing us to do habits we should have done before.
Totally.
Read a book, work out more, eat healthier, cook more, journal.
Express your thoughts, be considerate, try to think about how other people are going through. Oh, these are all good.
Oh, wait, I should have always been doing that.
All stuff we should have been doing. Very cool. How are all the other people in the house doing? Like, where are they at right now?
They're pretty good. I mean, there's been some tough like decisions people have had to make at their companies and stuff. There's been like some people have had to make like cuts to their company and budgeting more. And so they've had to make some tough decisions, but they also, most of us work in tech. And we all are still employed, so we're all grateful for that. We all still have like roadmaps and things we need to be working on. For some of us, like work has slowed down a lot more than others. So there's like a few people in the house that have like a lot more free time than others. And there's a few people whose like work has gotten way busier. So it's interesting just kind of like us all reacting day by day and kind of, just trying to get through it as best we can.
Yeah.
But for the most part, everybody's been handling it pretty well.
Do you find yourself a lot more now on like video calls, like personal video calls, like talking with friends, family?
Yeah, I was gonna say that's like one of the other like silver linings that's kind of come through this. I feel like I'm keeping in touch with my friends and family better than I was before. It's like I've been FaceTiming with people I haven't FaceTimed with in so long, and like my family set up like a group. My dad figured out how to use Zoom and like sent it. I was like, have you guys heard of Zoom before? I just signed up an account and sent the link. And so like I had a big family Zoom meeting the other day, and like we've never done that before. Yeah, I think that it's been great that people have been putting such an emphasis on like keeping in touch with each other. And like I'm feeling for those friends. Like I have a few friends that are like by themselves at their apartments, and so I'm trying to like reach out to those friends especially more at this time, because I know they really need it.
Yeah, that's super real.
Yeah, Kirk was mentioning earlier how like it doesn't matter if someone's in the neighborhood next to you, like it's still the same amount of distance because you have to get on the road call anyway. So it's like you might as well just call the friend across the country. It's just as hard.
Totally, exactly.
I was talking to my friend who's in the Philippines, and he's been there for about 2 years, and we're going back and forth. And I was like, yeah, we haven't chatted in like a good minute. And I was like, now all the relationships are kind of at that same level, right? Where they're all equally far apart, unless you're isolated with them, right?
Right.
So it's kind of nice to check in with other people, and like even the people that are with other folks or are strong, like everyone kind of needs some kind of moral support or check in. Especially the people who are like helping other folks as well too. But I also had a birthday party last night over Zoom. Like Donnie organized, where it's like and like we've written down and like made a PDF of like the birthday and we like talked through it.
Yeah, I love that.
I was like, it was like a legit, and I was like tight. It was like under an hour, and I was like, this is the best birthday party ever.
That's awesome. It's crazy because like sometimes when like friends, like in the past when friends have called me before, I'm just like, oh, I'm too busy to answer this.
Yeah.
But like, you know, everybody's just sitting at home doing the same.
My brother and his wife Christine, they just had a baby girl, and they're kind of at home taking care of this like was born 3 weeks ago, a month ago. Shit, a month ago. I don't know what time's like. But like, it's also weird how like, since it's such a big kind of global event, everyone still has their own lives, and like people are being born, and like life goes on, and like they're still so kind of consumed by raising a child. And it's like, it's definitely a thing they're thinking about, but they're like lucky that they had the kid and they're at home taking care of the kid. So it's like everyone has their own way of kind of processing this event, right? So I was like, this is a great time to have a baby. Like this is like your duty now for the next couple months. So do that.
Baby all the time. Yeah. We actually have a friend who's like who's 16 weeks along right now. So she just went in for a checkup the other day. So yeah, it's like there's a lot of like scary stuff happening, but it's really exciting to have somebody going through like something beautiful like that. So
yeah. I mean, we had a whole crazy. So the week we were supposed to have our event, in addition to that and having to cancel it, Kirk's niece was born that week, so we had to fly to Canada. But then at the same time, I was like, Kirk, they're definitely gonna close the border. Like it's a matter of days.
Stuck in Canada.
Yeah, so that was just like, you got to get back. And I think actually like that, like the end of that week is when they actually started like doing some sort of like restrictions. So
yeah.
Good timing.
I flew the Tuesday and then I flew back the Thursday, I think, and then the Friday it was shut down.
Wow.
It all happened everything just is escalating very quickly, right? So now I am put in this apartment, and we're not going to leave until we can all leave. That's pretty much it. I've rolled my dice. I've cast my bet.
Now.
This is my life now. It's like kind of like we're like now we're definitely roommates. Like before, Donnie and I, we obviously live together, but now we're 100% roommates because it's way more time together.
Yeah, my boyfriend and I are getting a little lesson in what it's like to live together. Do that.
So you guys were not living together before?
No, we were. I mean, we were planning on doing that eventually, but not sped up that
time like the present. I feel like it's also like I'm also becoming more appreciative of like this. Like it's kind of weird. It's like, oh, it's sunny outside. It's gonna be a good day. It's like it's also reduced like my expectations of life. Where I'm like, I'm healthy. Like I'm not sick. I still have a job. Like I have literally nothing to complain about. And I'm just like, anything else on top of that is bonus. Like it's like super nice.
Absolutely.
And then 4 weeks ago, I was like, oh, this like thing didn't go the way I wanted to go. And I was like, all right.
Elaina, I gotta ask, like, how often do you read like the news or like watch TV or things like that? Because I asked that because I feel like for myself, if I like do more than X number of minutes, I'm like subconsciously stressed out. Like it's just
I for the most part during the day, I don't really check it at all. When I wake up in the morning, I read the New York Times. Like they have a good coronavirus update like thing that I usually read every day, and I read like a few articles, but other than like 30 minutes in the morning, I try not to check again until like maybe a little bit at night. I feel like I get the updates I need each morning, and like any like huge updates, I'll usually hear from somebody else in the house. So I'm not worried about like, missing anything too big. So I've just felt for me, it's helpful for me personally to just do it once a day. And for other people that might be different, and that's totally great. Like some people check it, every hour, or like have the news on throughout the day. But I've just found for like my personal productivity and mental state in the mornings for like 30 minutes is good.
Yeah. I've done something where I've like kind of isolated how much news I get. So like before, I've blocked Twitter and New York Times, Reddit on my computer, so I can't access it at all, which is probably something I should have done before, but now it's like very obvious. And before I used to check like America, Canada, and New York. And now I'm like, I can only really focus on New York right now. And I've like blocked those out. And I was like, once we hit the peak in New York, then I can kind of consume the larger information. Before I was like, what's going on in China? Or like, how's it going? I was like, I can't do that. Like I can't all that information in my head, and it's like, what's in New York? How can I help? Where is the pain points? What should I do? I think they even have like a thing where you can text like to a number, and they'll just give you the press release like in text form, which is like
nice.
shelter in place effect. So that's actually been the best thing. And then I effectively spend most of my time, because you're right, like everyone just will send, if it's really that important, someone's going to send you the link, right? It's just going to be a wait anyway. So
I've been watching Cuomo's press briefings. It's been good too. So those have been like super straightforward, informative.
I would say I really like Cuomo's. Usually it's kind of like a kind of a douchebag. Like I feel like his whole interview, to be blunt. But I actually like it. Like he like starts with like the hard data, then he goes into like the action plan. Then he ends with like a moral fortitude speech, and I'm like, I'm into this. Like this is what I need right now.
Yeah, so. I'm loving how popular he's gotten lately.
Yeah, like what a true heel turn, eh? Like a true like oh, we all like Cuomo now. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. A year ago was not like that, but okay.
I feel like this is kind of solidifying my thesis, which is like you have to be kind of an asshole to run New York. Like it's just like it's one of the states where it's like you gotta have like only leader is the one who can shout loud enough to like keep everyone in bay.
Absolutely, yeah.
I feel De Blasio has lost some juice in this. He's definitely receded. Cuomo has taken over on this one.
He really has.
Yeah. Cool. What else are you doing on this Friday? What's the plans for the weekend?
I mean, like, what is the weekend anymore?
I live at work is at home.
But I don't need to get ready for work because I'm at home.
So hopefully get outside a little bit. We tried to last weekend we tried to find a hike to do, and we couldn't really find one. But we might just like take a drive in the car. I don't know, get out of the house a little bit.
Do it. I think tomorrow I'm going to do our weekly walk around the city and see what's up, see how everyone's doing.
Nice.
I have like the better protection now too, of like the gloves. I'm not going to wear the mask because I think that's kind of wasteful if it's like not, if you don't actually have it, but just to make sure everyone's alive and still okay.
I've heard the parks have been super crowded in New York.
I'm not going there for sure.
Yeah, not staying away from parks. Only. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Kirk, we can't hear you anymore.
Oh yeah, I just lost audio on you.
I'm sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah, you can hear you.
Yeah, I started using this thing called Allo Moves, which is like a video workout. So now I'm doing it in my apartment, but then I can also hear around noon the person above me do their like first shot. I'm like, it's definitely work. It's like It's like
we have like I said, we have our little like workout studio set up in the living room in this house, and there's like yoga mats everywhere, ankle weights, and everybody kind of has like, some of us work out together, but like some of us do it in the morning. Like there's just always somebody in there doing some workout video. You're
rebuilding like society in your little fiefdom. You have like the workout place. Eventually there's going to be like house meetings. You're just going to recreate society.
Totally.
So someone we had on earlier was like, I'll only watch news while stretching in front of the TV.
I like that. So like, doing something beneficial for yourself while you watch.
Cool. Well, appreciate calling in. We won't take you for too long. This was fun.
Cool. Thank you guys so much. Stay safe. Hopefully we'll get back to normal soon.
Hopefully. Stay safe, stay healthy.
All right. Thanks, guys. See ya.
My AirPods are dying, so I'm gonna charge them.
Okay, cool. I think this has been fun. Before we bring in the last person, like, what have you thought about this whole live stream so far?
It's fun. It was very easy to book guests because people definitely got time.
What are you doing? Nothing at all.
No, this is fun. It's kind of interesting to see like how everyone's kind of processing it. I definitely feel like Kevin had the best point about like the way like the healthcare workers to the people whose jobs are affected to the people who are working under this new environment, and like how those gaps are such like little buckets, right? Like everyone's stressed out, but it's such a local kind of stress, right? So I'm just feeling super like lucky more than anything, right? To be in the bucket where we can still have our jobs at least and our health. So
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really have the chance to tell him I went to like the whole Bianca thing with her working with the hospital and stuff like that. I mean, yeah. So, for people listening, my sister-in-law is a pediatrician and she's pregnant, so she can't be on the front lines, fortunately. But she's basically in charge of like a triage center, and like it's definitely chaos, definitely chaos.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
They're literally saving us all right now. So it's crazy.
Yeah. Also, another thing from the people we talked to so far, it's so clear to me. Something that wasn't clear to me earlier, but now is more clear, is how much this is like a great reevaluation. It's the best way I can phrase it. To just like on a personal, like interpersonal, like just like society level. Like the society level part, I already felt like we were going through something big, but it feels like I feel like in general, like usually, like it feels the past couple of years, it felt more like a general, just like I care about this a lot. Versus this feels more like even the things I thought I cared about, I'm like reevaluating those things in some way. That's what it feels like, which is kind of interesting.
It's definitely for me. I'm feeling it too. Like I'm reevaluating it all.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So, I'm gonna charge this before we get the next wonderful caller.
Cool. All right, we'll be back in like about 5 minutes.
Sorry, what did you say?
Niko.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey man, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I don't know where Kirk is. Seems like he's slacking off.
Yeah,
So,
he's probably still charging his AirPods.
Probably. So they'll never be charged in time. It'll never work out. How?
I went to get some chocolate.
Yeah. Great. How's the podcast going so far?
I'm actually enjoying this a lot. This is like, I mean, honestly, selfishly, this is fulfilling the need of just time to bullshit about nothing. So this is like, when Kirk pulled out the dog mask or whatever, that was, I knew we officially entered the next realm. For sure.
Yeah, I was definitely going to put on pants for this, but Kirk put on the mask. I thought, oh, it's that type of event.
And he brings it back as if it's okay.
The Snap camera is actually pretty good. I would recommend it.
Yeah, it's a great tool for meetings, for work,
for life.
Yeah. Wait, Niko. So we had to ask everyone, where are you calling from right now?
I'm calling from Brooklyn, from Crown Heights.
Nice. What's the vibe in Crown Heights right now?
It's just generally like more empty, more quiet. Everyone's kind of just vacated the streets and everything. All the cars seem to be like, the streets seem to be emptier.
Yeah. Is it like are people still like walking outside or anything, or like in the store still, or is it basically just dead?
There's people like outside, like still going to stores and stuff, but like mostly just quieter.
How are you adjusting to all this? Like when did you have to go remote? And then like since then, like what's it been like?
I think it's been 2.5 weeks. So like moving remote has been, I feel like a pretty decent transition. Like it wasn't as jarring as I expected it to be. I would say a lot of that was due to our company putting in like more structure for us. Like now we're doing stand-ups. We're a small team. We're doing stand-ups at the beginning of the day, at the end of the day. So we have like bookends to our productive time. So yeah, shout out to our team for putting that together. And then they gave us tips about how to work remotely, things that you should do and not do when you're like calling into meetings and stuff, and like just the behavior and expectations that they have for us.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds pretty organized overall.
Yeah, we've got very organized people on our team. Shout out to
Nice.
Nick and to Ryan. They've been absolutely baller at making us go remote.
Nice. How big is MLH?
We are around we're around 13 to 15 full-timers. My numbers are wrong, but around that size for full-timers, and then we work with up to 60 people.
Okay, cool.
What's it like having a little roommate around? What's it like co-working with Mr. Nick?
Yeah, so Nick's my roommate for like a week. It was Nick's younger sister was here and his girlfriend was here, so it was a little bit of a little like community we had here, which was great. Nick's been cool. I would recommend having a roommate for the apocalypse. It's
Is Nick in there?
Right, Nick is there. Nick is
there. Nick, come up, Nick. Nick, come up here.
You have a question for Nick.
What do you?
Nick's gonna be
I didn't realize you were in the shot.
Yeah. Nick, I also have an afro because I can't get my hair cut.
Yeah, Nick can't hear you, but I'll be your translator. If you want to interview him.
We'll interview him. We'll interview him later.
Okay.
Niko, just tell Nick that I also have an afro because I can't get my hair cut. That's all I wanted to know.
Randy says he also has an afro because he can't get his hair cut.
Oh yay!
He's very excited about it.
I knew we understand. Okay, cool. We passed that bridge now. So.
All right, if they're there, then you can't really tell us how it feels to work with them. So I won't ask that question. You're not gonna.
It's been good.
It's been good. Blink twice if you need help. What's been kind of the most surprising thing now that you've like kind of climatized to this lifestyle, I guess, like personally to you? Like what's been the most surprising thing?
Surprising thing. So I think working remote was a little stressful, but I think overall it's been a quality of life improvement. Like not commuting like 40 minutes a day, cooking at the house, like more healthy food at the house has been good. Like just the amount of commuting has been such a drain, I guess.
Yeah.
So cutting that out and making more time for exercising, for cooking, for self-care, that was surprising because I just was of the opinion everything was going to go to shit, and I was surprised by that.
So what with the time back now, is it cooking? Is it you just getting super buff? Like is that the plan?
I've been running outside more. I mean, like I've been like social distance running, so I've been
how exactly do you do that?
You kind of like juke people, like they're coming at you and you kind of juke around them, and then you just give them that space.
So I've been telling people that so like I'm in Jersey right now, and like it's a suburb, and basically what social walking or like social distance walking or social distance running has turned into people basically running in the streets, like literally just in the like where the cars go. And so it's this thing where it's like I'll be running, there'll be like one person on the sidewalk, one person like basically like where the bike lane is, and like someone basically in the street, and I'm on the same path as them. So it's like, what do? I just like end up crossing the street basically.
That's wild.
Yeah. And it's like we gotta like this is like you gotta like triage your safety concerns.
I'm hearing that like parts of New York, they're opening up the streets for pedestrians and
I saw that too. Thing. Yeah, I think that's great. I think like the more space we can do there. Are the parks still like bumping? Like you live near a park, right?
I live like a mile away from a park. It's my go-to running area, but I don't know. Like, there's a lot of people at the park. I've been running more earlier recently, so I don't know. But I'm assuming because it's New Yorkers, everything is business as usual, and that kind of sucks to see.
Yeah.
Do you think like
down the streets helps?
I think it will. I mean, I think shutting down the businesses is really what caused a lot of the like lack of movement and lack of people coming out. Do you see like of all the, now that you kind of lived in this world a little bit, I think there's going to be a longer period that'll bake and you'll probably have like deeper thoughts of this kind of lifestyle. Do you see like, you know, assuming we'll go back to work at some point, I don't know when that'll be, but we will at some point.
We've been working the entire time, Kirk.
I meant back to being able to go outside freely. That's what I meant.
Okay, gotcha.
Do you think that even in your own company or do you think people will like opt to stay back at home, or do you think it'll be a mix, or do you think like where do you see like your company and the employees kind of like shifting or moving or even picking a side even?
Yeah, I think likely it's going to be more comfort around employees working from home. I think this is teaching us that it is possible to be productive, be in the home environment. And I think now people are building up that routine of like, all right, like this is what I need to do to be productive during my day. And like the novelty of working from home has worn off a little bit.
Yeah.
And so people will just be better at working from home on our team, I'm assuming. I'm very curious to see how it goes. I would definitely love to work from home more in the future, just to save time on travel.
Yeah, that's real. What about Mr. Nick, who's always been working from home?
Yeah. So Nick, I am assuming Nick loves the extra company. Like he's been working from home for the past 6 months, like without like coworkers or like people in the same office.
Yeah.
Now I'm
just like the inverse for him. He's getting way more people than he would normally get.
So more distractions. Yeah.
So I see in the chat that Nick actually says that he hates the extra company. I don't know if that's a wrench in your.
No, he's saying he loves it. He's nodding. He loves it. Like he's telling me secretly. Yeah, in my other ear, he's saying he loves it.
I guess So for MLH, y'all have a lot of in-person events. Like, what's that
Yes.
been like? Because that also like affects the company as a whole. Like, what's that situation been like?
It is like it's an all hands on deck situation where we all have to figure out what. Oh, hey Donnie.
Hey Donna, what's up?
It's everyone has to figure out what the future of our company looks like, and like it's a lot of like talking through strategy and figuring out what our events would look like in the future. And so we're making shifts as a company to like become experts in what we do in the new format, right? And we are experimenting with it like right now, but also like we had things in progress that just needed a shift, and so that's also been a little hectic. But we're going to adapt.
What's like one of the things y'all are trying out?
So we have this interesting challenge of how to broadcast content, how to broadcast experiences to thousands of people, right? Like there's communities out there, there's events out there that draw this much attention, and we have to figure out how to cater to that size of people at the same time as having those interactions at the smaller scale, like having smaller groups of people interact, learn from each other, and facilitate that engagement, right? So just understanding how that digital experience translates to different group sizes has been a very interesting challenge.
This is Donnie. Hi.
Are you going to give Donnie an introduction? Like, are you going to?
This is Donnie, my wife, and we live together.
We know each other.
Other people are watching this. Donnie, what's it like to work?
No. Keep going with what you're doing. Yeah.
You just want to watch? All right, cool.
Yeah, I'm joining the live stream.
That's not how you.
Donnie, how do you like your coworker now, Donnie?
Yeah, is it fun? Be honest.
It's honestly really cute. Don't you think we're having fun?
Yeah.
Do you have any embarrassing stories about Kirk about working from home?
We do a lot of calls.
I think
in the bathroom because it's a studio apartment.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I had to do a video call in the morning in the bathroom, and I thought I was like cute with it, and I could like angle the camera. It looks like it's just a door, but there's like a fucking towel there. And it was like, "Are you in the bathroom?" And I was like, "Yes."
Got me. Sorry.
So I was like, "Yeah, sorry. What do you want me to do? Build another fucking room?" So beyond that, that's the only real complaint.
Yeah. I think it's actually really nice to work beside someone you don't work with, because then when you're having like a bad moment, the other person can just like make you laugh, and like they don't really know what's going on. So it's like, I feel like lately I haven't really been working around friends, so it's just been really nice to have somebody just to be like bah, or like, you know, it's good.
Yeah, to laugh at your jokes.
Yeah. Like work got like lighter somehow.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It's less serious, definitely. Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah. Is that what it's like to work with Nick?
Nick laughs at all my jokes. He's been a great coworker.
That's awesome. Love it.
Yeah. I'm sure I'm a huge distraction to him though.
But honestly now, like we could all welcome a distraction. I think that's like half of it, right?
Look, Nick's in too.
Yeah, Nick's in there too.
I miss y'all so much.
Miss you too, Nick.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Donnie works at L'Oreal.
No, I like what Nico was talking about. You just cut him off.
All right, fine.
What was I talking about?
You were talking about how it was interesting to broadcast for like different group sizes.
Oh yeah.
And like
and transitioning to like digital or virtual events.
Right. Like an example is example of the conversations that we're having is like just the live streaming setup and the requirements, the logistical requirements to broadcast to an audience through Twitch or through YouTube. Like, what does that setup look like? And that's not something that we would potentially do. That's not something that we typically do for our in-person events. So like those are new conversations that we're having specifically because of this new situation.
That's really cool. I think also that it opens up those events to people who couldn't possibly go before too, right? So it's actually widening the audience too.
Yeah, exactly. And Nick and I run a meetup here in New York, but something that we're seeing is like friends are like, oh, I've always wanted to go, but I don't live in New York. So they're tuning in now, and like we're having our online meetup now, and friends are tuning in from across the country.
But how's the vibe?
It's pretty cool. Like it's not productive. Yeah.
So the vibe is improved by being digital versus in person?
I think right now what we're seeing is more people just want to come in, tune in, and like hang out versus being productive all the time. Like they just want to hang out with other people.
Yeah.
So we're seeing a lot more, just social engagement.
What were you implying? Something else?
I figured that like in person there's like more of a stronger vibe for like connecting and chatting and chit chat versus like digitally. That like, is it hard with like a lot of people to like talk at different times, like different things like that? But I don't know. I guess not.
It depends.
Yeah. It's a different vibe.
I guess so much of it is also people are just all in their apartment by themselves, or like, small limited space, right? And there's
right?
Yeah. And people are just more open to just like, I don't know, something weird just to like break it up.
I do find it like a video conversation, or at least like these video calls, you have to give more attention, I feel. Like I know a lot of people too are now transitioning to like video dates too, right? Because people are still trying to date, right? So like a 1 hour like one-on-one video date, I think is probably a little bit more intense than meeting someone for a drink at a bar, because you can be distracted, or you can meet friends, or you can like I think there's something very different about the level of attention for like one-on-ones, right? I don't know how it is in a group, but I think there's different kind of nuances there.
Yeah, weirdly, I feel more awkward about being like, I'm going to text in the middle of this video call than like,
yeah,
which makes no sense. It makes no sense at all, but I do.
Right. Well, what we saw with because there's not that subdivision of like conversations, when you get a group of too many people, then there's like people like usually 4 people, they break off and they're like, let's talk about this now. There's not that in the video chatting like world. Like you can't break off and be like, we're talking about this now. So like at our meetup, there was like one topic of a conversation. Some people were like participating, other people were just like hanging out, like playing with snap camera, playing with filters.
See? Yeah.
It's really helpful.
Yeah, exactly.
When I was the dog earlier, it actually looked kind of good because I was the shirt. The shirt matches with the dog.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. People are so cute as puppies.
Oh, beautiful.
My mom loved it. She was like, "What's that? What?"
Donnie we did a full birthday party at her brother's birthday over Zoom.
How did that go?
Everyone, how did it go, Donnie?
It was like incredibly sweet. I think my brother was like, well, we all felt bad because it was like a big one. Like he's turning 40 and he's kind of like, a bit Peter Pan-y, like in the sense like when you grow up in New York, you like don't want to get old. And so we felt really bad because we weren't doing anything.
He was really looking forward to it. I was supposed to take him out for like some nice like omakase.
Yeah, we had like
I was gonna spend money on it. It was like actually a big
it was like it's a big birthday. And then
that didn't happen.
That didn't happen. But like everyone decorated their like rooms, and then like made like a deck that we like had all these baby photos and like messages from everyone, and like he was super touched. It was really cute. My sister did like a trivia game, and like they were all questions about my brother. It was honestly really
nice.
Like
under an hour. We spend zero to little money. And
high quality.
And I was like, this is better than taking him out to sushi or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, not better, but it was like pretty
memorable.
Good. It was memorable at least.
Yeah.
So
I get that. I feel like it's been a lot easier to connect with people like across the country.
Yeah.
It's nice.
One thing that's going to be really interesting. So my brother and sister-in-law are expecting a baby this summer, and they were going to have a baby shower, but that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And so now I am the photographer for the maternity photos, because what else are we going to do? So, that's
when's the due date again?
The due date's like a little bit after 4th of July, somewhere in that time frame. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Like I'm hoping obviously nature does whatever it wants. I'm hoping the baby arrives around the time I was already planning on like doing some travel.
Yeah.
So that I can like basically spend a couple days like to visit and then like go,
you got to. Life goes on, that's the beauty of it.
Yeah. Babies are still born, still crying, so life is still life. So we're all learning new things. You're learning how to throw remote events. I'm learning how to photograph and also apparently live stream.
Yeah. I'm learning to cook. I'm definitely cooking more.
I'm very curious what you did for this podcast. Like, how did you figure this out? Like, is it just a tie-in directly from Zoom to YouTube?
Oh yeah, so the setup is Zoom has a setup where you can just live stream directly into YouTube or Facebook Live. And so basically set up our YouTube to be able my Merit account to be able to set up live streams, and then just connect it through Zoom. So it required like a little bit of Googling, but it's actually like not that complicated to set up. I guess for even why we've decided to do this, like I think talking about no one's thinking about their long-term career right now. We're all trying to take it day to day. And honestly, for me, selfishly, I genuinely want to just like hear what are people up to. So I figured this is like a lightweight way to kind of like do all that.
I mean, also like the name is called The Retro, but we also do our retro at like lunchtime on Friday. So we're like, what if we kind of just opened it up a little bit and like have people on? So it's kind of like tongue in cheek. Just miss everyone. That's all.
Right. I get it. I think live streaming skills are going to be like a big popular thing in the near future. So I've been trying to like learn every type of technology out there, so we can recommend them. But this seems like a cool setup.
I'll send it afterwards. But Gary also has been sending a bunch of stuff. And one thing was that Creative Mornings usually does like a monthly in-person events like everywhere in like the world basically. But obviously they can't do that anymore. So like the Austin chapter basically like open source their entire process for like live streaming their entire thing. And it's pretty comprehensive. It's like I want to say like a 50-page, maybe longer doc of like all the tools they use, all the setup, like gotchas, things like that. So I'll send it to you. But I'm gonna like read through that to like kind of like figure out what to do for this thing.
That's fantastic.
Probably useful for you as well.
That's very cool.
The most interesting thing, honestly, for setting this one up is that like getting Zoom connected to YouTube is pretty straightforward. Like once you just like Google search to whatever to make sure it works. But all the equipment to like be able to have a better webcam for myself or for Kirk or like better mics, whatever, all sold out. Like everything was sold out.
Everyone's live streaming.
That's fun.
Everyone had the exact same idea at the same time.
I'm going to become a Twitch streamer.
Now's the time. Now is the time of my life to become.
We all going to just watch more esports now? Is that what's going to happen? There's no real sports, right?
So a fascinating story I read is that since NASCAR can't happen either, they basically had a bunch of NASCAR players are driving NASCAR on like the esports like driver apps.
That's very cool.
With like the actual professional drivers who like are the professional esports drivers. So it's like esports drivers and real world drivers in the same like driving scenarios on Twitch, basically.
That's wild. I really like that. Are they doing like tournament style where they're like playing each other, or is it just like solo
one-on-one? Like
I don't know. I gotta look it up. But at minimum, it's at least more than like one-to-one ratio, one-to-one like per stream of like 5 like streamers versus 5 real drivers on the same thing, something like that.
Yeah. Are y'all getting into any new hobbies since the quarantine, since the work from home?
I've definitely been working out more, which is great.
Nice.
Because got nothing else to do. So
what about you?
I joined masterclass yesterday.
Nice. What class are you taking?
I had this feeling that I should be doing more to take advantage of this time, because like pre-COVID, you were always like, I'm so busy, like I don't have time to like do anything. So and I get served a lot of ads on Instagram for masterclass. So I think I'm just gonna like, learn a little more.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Donnie, what class are you taking on masterclass?
It's kind of, I don't know if this is embarrassing, but they have like I'm starting with the Bob Iger one on like leadership and management. It's just super interesting. He talks about like the Pixar acquisition and like how they manage change and like branding and stuff for like their Disney princesses. There's a lot of cool stuff there. Risk taking. Cool. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. Running like a creative business, like a business based on creativity. He talks a lot about how you have to be comfortable with being like, we have great success, but like risk could be like right around the corner. It's just kind of interesting to think about Disney as like a creative agency, because sometimes you just are like, oh my God, it's this huge conglomerate, but like fundamentally the work is so creative. Super interesting. Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah. So if any of you guys want to use my login and password, I'm happy to. I've already like
absolutely
spoken to some friends to be like, I can help you out with this. Into the family sharing plans. If we all like join a new school, we could like all learn so many things, a family student plan.
Oh, now I feel bad, Kirk. I should have shared my Aloe Move subscription with you. Kirk, Niko, you'll get.
Oh
my,
That's true. We did do that.
Yeah, my bad. I should have done that. That's on me.
I'm going to take it. I'll sell it to other people.
I'm trying to draw more. I feel like that's something I used to do a lot more when I was a kid. Just because, why not?
I like that. Are you going to share any drawings with the world?
I will, if it's nice and good.
I can't wait.
I'm definitely cooking way more, and I'm finding it a lot more therapeutic. I always found it therapeutic, but you're right about the commute. It does kind of, even though my commute's short, it's like 15 minutes, 20 minutes out of it. It does add to the total time. So now I'm like looking forward to cooking, which was not true before. So ask me again in like 2 or 3 weeks, but still very fun. Still very fun.
Okay. I'll set a reminder now.
Do it.
Yeah. Well, I hope you share some cooking photos. I'm sure you're cooking up some great stuff.
That's actually been in our family chat on WhatsApp. That's the thing that's like people are loving, that like they find it hilarious that Donnie and I are cooking. Like every night, so we take a photo of all the meals. They're like fucking love it. So that's like, they're like, where's the photo? Like, what'd you cook? Show me. Okay. Donnie did we did like turkey, meatballs, and spaghetti. It was great. Just every day cooking it out.
Yeah.
Dude, Niko, that Greek chef you sent earlier, like the YouTube guy, I'll include it in the comments. That guy was awesome. I loved him so much. He was just so eager, so many hand motions, so much energy.
So much energy, some great food, also a very attractive host. He's the whole package.
Yeah, everything you want in a cooking show on YouTube, he's got it all.
Yeah, exactly. I definitely need to dig down that rabbit hole. That's not a euphemism. That's just I need to follow up with the content.
On that note, I think this is been good.
Yeah.
This has been great. Thank you, Niko.
Of course. See y'all.
All right.
Stay safe. Stay healthy.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Cool. I think anything else before we call it a day?
Stay inside. Stay safe. Help other people.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye.
Bye.